If you are making around $60,000 a year and you are thinking about buying a home in 2026, you need to stop and watch this entire video right now. I am not kidding. Most seniors in your exact situation are walking straight into a financial trap that could cost them $30, $40, even $50,000 over the next decade. And the worst part is they do not see it coming. They think they are making a smart, safe move. They think they are finally securing their retirement. But they are actually signing up for a mistake that could drain their savings, eat up their Social Security, and leave them house rich but cash poor at the worst possible time in their lives. If you are between 55 and 70 years old, if you are on a fixed or moderate income, and if you have even considered buying a home this year, stick with me till the end, because what I am about to tell you could save your financial future. Most seniors have no idea that the home buying mistake I am talking about is not about buying a bad house in a bad neighborhood. It is not about getting scammed by a shady contractor or paying too much for a kitchen remodel. The mistake is much more subtle than that, and that is exactly why it is so dangerous. The costly mistake most seniors are making in 2026 is buying too much house relative to their fixed income and doing it with the wrong kind of financing in a market that is still punishing buyers who stretch their budgets. Let me say that again because it is critical. The mistake is purchasing a home where the total monthly housing cost, including the mortgage, property taxes, insurance, maintenance, and homeowners association fees, eats up more than about 30% of a $60,000 salary. In 2026, with interest rates still hovering in the mid to upper 6% range on a 30-year fixed mortgage, with property taxes climbing in nearly every state, and with homeowners' insurance premiums up dramatically due to climate risks, that threshold is easier to cross than ever before. And once you cross it, you do not feel the pain immediately. You feel it slowly, month after month, year after year, until one day you realize you cannot afford to live in the home you worked so hard to buy. Here is why this mistake is especially dangerous for seniors in 2026. First, we are living in a housing market that has not corrected the way many experts predicted. Home prices in many desirable retirement areas, places like Florida, Arizona, the Carolinas, and parts of Texas, are still near historic highs. Inventory is low, competition is stiff, and sellers are still getting away with asking prices that would have seemed outrageous just 5 years ago. Second, interest rates in 2026 are not the 3% rates we saw during the pandemic years. If you are financing a home today, you are likely looking at a rate between 6.5% and 7.5%, depending on your credit score and the lender. On a $250,000 home with 10% down, that interest rate difference alone adds hundreds of dollars to your monthly payment compared to what your neighbor might have paid in 2021. Third, and this is the one that catches seniors off guard, property taxes and insurance are not fixed. In 2026, we are seeing massive reassessments in counties across the country. States that used to be tax-friendly for retirees are reevaluating home values at higher rates, and insurance companies are pulling out of certain markets or raising premiums by 20, 30, or even 50% because of flood and wildfire risks. So even if you run the numbers today and they look tight but manageable, those numbers are almost guaranteed to get worse, not better, over the next 5 years. And if you are on a $60,000 salary, you do not have the wiggle room to absorb those increases without cutting into essentials like healthcare, food, or prescriptions. Let me tell you a real story about a senior who made this exact mistake. Her name is Margaret. She is 63 years old, recently retired from a career in nursing, and she was living in a paid-off condo in the Midwest. Her Social Security and a small pension gave her about $58,000 a year in income. She wanted to move to Florida to be closer to her daughter and grandchildren. She found a beautiful 3-bedroom home in a gated community near Orlando for $300,000. Her real estate agent told her it was a great deal. Her lender pre-approved her without any issues. She put 20% down, which drained almost all the equity she had from selling her condo, and she took out a 30-year fixed mortgage at 6.8%. Her principal and interest payment was about $1,570 a month. With property taxes, insurance, and HOA fees, her total monthly housing cost came to $2,400. That is $29,000 a year, nearly half of her entire income, just to keep a roof over her head. She told herself she would make it work. She told herself she would cut back on travel and dining out. But here is what she did not account for. 6 months after she moved in, her homeowner's insurance premium jumped from $200 a month to $340 because her new zip code was reclassified as a higher flood risk. Then her property taxes went up after the county reassessed her home value at $330,000. Her HOA fees increased to cover new stormwater management costs. Within 18 months, her monthly housing cost had ballooned to $2,800 a month. That is $33,600 a year. She was now spending 58% of her gross income on housing. She stopped contributing to her emergency fund. She started carrying a balance on her credit cards for groceries. She deferred a medically necessary knee replacement because she could not afford the out-of-pocket costs. At 63 years old, Margaret found herself in a financial hole that she may never climb out of. And the heartbreaking part is that this was completely avoidable. She did not buy a mansion. She did not get scammed. She simply bought too much house for her income in a market that punished her for it. This one mistake could cost you tens of thousands of dollars, and in Margaret's case, it already has. If she had bought a smaller home or a condo with lower insurance and tax burdens, or if she had rented for a year to understand the true cost of living in that area, she could have preserved her nest egg and her peace of mind. Instead, she is now considering selling the home, but because she bought near the peak and closing costs will eat into her equity, she might walk away with less than she put down. That is the cruel math of this mistake. It is not just the monthly strain. It is the lost opportunity cost of money that could have been earning interest in a retirement account. It is the stress that leads to health problems. It is the inability to help your grandchildren or enjoy your golden years because every dollar is already spoken for before it hits your bank account. So what should seniors on a $60,000 salary do instead? Let me give you the better alternatives, and I want you to write these down because they could change everything. First, if you are buying, you need to use the 25% rule, not the 30% rule that lenders push on you. Lenders will often approve you for a mortgage that takes up 30% or more of your gross income, but they do not live in your budget. They do not pay for your Medicare supplements, your prescriptions, your car repairs, or the emergency roof leak that happens 6 months after you move in. For someone making $60,000 a year, your total monthly housing cost should ideally be no more than $1,250. I know that sounds low in today's market, but that is the number that gives you breathing room. That means you might need to look at homes in the $150,000 to $180,000 range, not the $250,000 to $300,000 range. It might mean a smaller home, a townhome, or a home in a less trendy area. But here is the truth. Peace of mind is worth more than square footage. Second, consider a 15-year mortgage instead of a 30-year mortgage if you can swing the higher monthly payment without breaking your budget. I know that sounds counterintuitive because the monthly payment is higher, but if you are in your 60s, you do not want a mortgage payment hanging over your head until you are 90. A 15-year loan at today's rates will save you a staggering amount in interest, and it forces you to buy a less expensive home because the payment is higher. It is a built-in discipline mechanism. If you cannot afford the 15-year payment on a home, you cannot afford the home. Period. Third, and this is huge for 2026, do not assume that buying is better than renting. I know that goes against everything we were taught growing up, but if you are moving to a new area, especially a retirement hotspot, renting for the first year or two is one of the smartest financial moves you can make. It gives you time to learn the real cost of living there. It gives you flexibility if property taxes or insurance premiums spike. It protects your down payment money so it can keep earning interest in a high-yield savings account or a conservative investment portfolio. And in many markets right now, the monthly cost of renting is actually lower than the total cost of owning when you factor in maintenance, taxes, and insurance. Do not let pride or outdated advice push you into a purchase before you are financially ready. Fourth, if you do buy, you need to shop for insurance and taxes before you fall in love with a house. Most people in your situation do not realize that the same priced home can have wildly different carrying costs depending on the zip code, the flood zone, the wildfire risk, and the local tax rate. A $200,000 home in one county might cost you $500 a month in taxes and insurance. In another county, it might cost you $900. That $400 difference is $4,800 a year. Over 10 years, that is nearly $50,000. You would not buy a car without checking the gas mileage. Do not buy a house without checking the tax and insurance mileage. Fifth, think long and hard about how much cash you are putting down. In 2026, with high interest rates, the old advice of putting down 20% is not always the best move for seniors on a fixed income. Yes, it avoids private mortgage insurance, but if draining your savings to hit that 20% threshold leaves you with no emergency fund, you are setting yourself up for disaster. A 10% down payment with a slightly higher monthly cost might be the smarter play if it keeps $25,000 or $30,000 in your pocket for medical emergencies, home repairs, or just peace of mind. Talk to a fee-only financial planner, not a lender or a real estate agent who makes money off your purchase, about what down payment strategy makes sense for your specific situation. Now let me give you some key tips and warnings for the 2026 housing market that every senior needs to hear. Number 1, beware of new construction incentives. Builders are offering rate buydowns, closing cost credits, and upgrade packages to move inventory. It sounds like free money, but those incentives are often baked into a higher sales price. You might get a lower rate for the first 2 years, but then it adjusts, and you are stuck with a home that cost more than it should have. Read the fine print. If it sounds too good to be true, it is because they need you more than you need them right now. Number 2, do not get emotionally attached to a home before you know the full financial picture. I have seen seniors fall in love with a kitchen or a view and then rationalize a bad financial decision. The kitchen does not matter if you cannot afford to turn on the stove. Fall in love with the numbers first. The house is just sticks and bricks. Your financial security is what allows you to enjoy it. Number 3, watch out for reverse mortgages as a solution. In 2026, reverse mortgage advertising is everywhere, targeting seniors who feel squeezed. These products are incredibly complex, the fees are high, and they can leave you or your heirs with nothing. A reverse mortgage is not a solution to buying too much house. It is a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. If you need a reverse mortgage to afford the home you just bought, you bought the wrong home. Number 4, get a home inspection and a separate inspection for the roof, the HVAC, and the plumbing. In 2026, with many homes being sold by investors who bought them cheap and flipped them with cosmetic upgrades, what looks beautiful on the surface can be rotting underneath. A $500 inspection can save you $20,000 in surprise repairs. Do not skip it to save money or to win a bidding war. There should be no bidding wars for seniors on fixed incomes. If you are in a bidding war, you are looking at the wrong house. Number 5, understand the tax implications of your purchase. In 2026, the standard deduction is high enough that many seniors no longer itemize, which means you may not get the mortgage interest deduction you are counting on. Property taxes are still deductible up to the state and local tax cap, but that cap hits harder in high-tax states. Run the numbers with a tax professional. Do not assume the government is going to subsidize your home purchase, because for many of you, that subsidy no longer exists. Here is the bottom line. If you are making around $60,000 a year, you cannot afford to make a $60,000 a year mistake. The housing market in 2026 is not forgiving. It does not care that you worked hard your whole life. It does not care that you want to be near your family. It will chew you up and spit you out if you buy more than you can truly afford. The good news is that you now know the mistake. You now know what to look for. You now know that the lender's approval letter is not a green light, it is a warning to do your own math. You now know that a beautiful home with a terrifying monthly payment is not a dream come true. It is a nightmare dressed up in granite countertops. Most people in your situation do not realize how quickly things can go wrong until it is too late. But you are not most people. You watch this video. You are informed. You are cautious, and you are going to make a decision that protects your future, not one that jeopardizes it. Whether you buy a smaller home, rent for a while, move to a more affordable area, or stay put and renovate what you have, the right choice is the one that lets you sleep at night knowing your finances are secure. If this video opened your eyes, if it made you think twice about a decision you were about to make, then I need you to do 3 things right now. First, hit that like button so YouTube shows this to more seniors who need to hear it before they make the same costly mistake. Second, subscribe to the channel because I am going to be releasing more videos specifically for retirees and pre-retirees on how to protect your money in 2026 and beyond. We are going to talk about Social Security strategies, healthcare costs, and how to make your savings last. You do not want to miss it. Third, drop a comment below and tell me, are you thinking about buying a home this year? What is your biggest concern? I read every single comment, and your story might help someone else in our community avoid a disaster. Share this video with a friend, a sibling, a neighbor, or anyone you know who is in their 50s, 60s, or 70s and thinking about a move. This is the conversation we need to be having, and most seniors are not having it because nobody is warning them. Well, I am warning you. I am begging you. Do not let the 2026 housing market steal your retirement. Be smart, be patient, be disciplined. Your future self will thank you, and so will the people who love you. Thank you for watching, stay safe out there, and I will see you in the next one.